One thing I've learned over the years.
The movie begins with a man lying in a hospital bed. As he slowly wakes up, everything looks blurry. A doctor walks over and calls him Mr. Ray Brooks, asking how he is feeling. As Ray slowly becomes fully aware, the first thing he does is ask about his family. The doctor doesn't answer directly. Instead, he explains that Ray was placed in a medically induced coma for 3 months because of a serious chest injury. He tells Ray that the recovery went well and there were no complications. Still anxious, Ray asks about his family again, but the doctor only says that the police will come to talk to him soon. The scene then shifts to an interrogation room where a police officer named Shelby begins questioning Ray. Ray starts to explain what happened. He says there were 3 men involved and it all started one night when he and his wife Kim were driving home. They got lost, so Ray stopped the car to look at the map in the trunk. When he stepped out, he saw 3 men violently beating a young man nearby. As Ray stood there in shock, a 4th man arrived, their leader, Frank Noonan. Frank immediately took a gun from one of his men and shot the young man to death without hesitation, right in front of them. Terrified, Ray froze for a moment before the men noticed him, sending him into a panic. He quickly runs back to the car and drives off before the men can reach him. In the car, Kim notices Ray is shaking and asks what happened. Still panicking, Ray tells her that he just saw someone get executed. Frightened, Kim insists that they call the police immediately, but Ray, still overwhelmed and in shock, refuses. Ray explains that they can't call the police because those men are dangerous gangsters, and getting involved could put both of their lives in serious danger. The scene then returns to the investigation, where Officer Shelby asks Ray to identify the men who came to his house by looking through a set of photos. Ray pauses for a moment before asking Shelby a question. When Shelby says that Ray might have to testify in court, Ray immediately pulls back. He is terrified that if he speaks out against the gangsters, they will kill him before the trial even starts. Noticing his fear, Shelby says the police can protect him. He slides his business card across the table and tells Ray to call if he changes his mind. After giving Ray one final look, Shelby leaves the room. Ray stays there, deep in thought. Later, he goes back home, still weighed down by everything that has happened. As Ray walks toward the front door, he notices a pile of mail scattered on the ground. He picks up one of the letters and begins to read it. His expression changes, and a look of sadness comes over him. Tears start to fill his eyes, and he begins to quietly cry. Suddenly, Ray remembers a moment from the past. In the flashback, he is at home with his wife, Kim, and their 2 children, Victoria and Max. It's a normal morning, and the family is gathered at the breakfast table, talking and laughing as they get ready for the day. Max jokingly says that Victoria has an older boyfriend, and Ray smiles, gently reminding his daughter to be careful. The memory is warm, happy, and full of love. As the memory fades, Ray is brought back to the present, standing alone and filled with sadness. The scene then shifts to the empty house, where he sits slumped on the stairs, deep in thought and overwhelmed by grief. He forces himself to stand up and walks to the kitchen, trying to escape the weight of his painful memories. He pours a drink and slowly takes a sip. The alcohol begins to numb him, but his mind pulls him into another flashback. In this memory, Ray is getting ready to leave for work. Kim stands by the door looking worried and asks what he plans to do about the execution he saw. Ray hesitates, clearly conflicted, and admits that he knows something needs to be done. He knows he should report what he saw, but he hesitates. Getting involved with dangerous gangsters could put both of their lives at risk. Kim watches him carefully, sensing his fear. She steps closer and quietly lets him know that she will support him no matter what he decides. The scene shifts to Ray sitting alone in a dimly lit room. His expression is tense as he studies a plan on the table in front of him. Photos of the gangsters are spread out, and his eyes focus on one picture, a man named Billy. With a serious look, Ray picks up a marker, circles Billy's face, and draws a line through it. The story then flashes back to the moment when Billy first came to Ray's house. He knocks on the door, and Kim answers to find a stranger standing outside. Billy smiles casually and says he's looking for his missing dog, asking if she can check the backyard. Not sensing any danger, Kim agrees and steps outside to look. While she is gone, Billy uses the moment to quietly study the inside of the house, paying attention to its layout and small details. A short time later, Kim comes back and tells him she didn't see any dog in the yard. She suggests that he try asking the neighbors instead. Billy nods politely and thanks her, but he takes one last look at the house before walking away. Back in the present, Ray sits in the dark, staring at Billy's profile on his computer screen. His eyes are filled with anger and a cold, determined focus. A flashback shows the terrifying night when Billy and his partner, Connor, broke into Ray's house. Billy crept into Max's bedroom, then forced Kim, Victoria, and Max downstairs. Their frightened screams filled the house. Ray was already tied to a chair, struggling helplessly as his family was brought before him. Their cold-hearted leader, Kane, calmly ordered Billy to shoot Kim. Without hesitation, Billy pulled the trigger and Kim fell to the floor. Ray watched in shock and agony, completely unable to help her. Back in the present, Ray has reached his limit. He's made his decision and is ready to act. Ray takes a knife from his home and goes directly to Billy's place. Inside the rundown apartment, Billy is cooking drugs and injecting himself, already lost in a drugged haze. Ray quietly enters and confronts him. Billy can barely understand what is happening. Ray demands the names of the others who came to his house that night, but Billy, dazed and stubborn, refuses to answer. Without warning, Ray stabs Billy in the leg, causing him to scream in pain. Ray then forces him to make more drugs and inject himself again. In a desperate attempt to fight back, Billy tries to stab Ray with the needle, but it's a hopeless effort. Ray reacts quickly and strikes with one swift, violent move. He drives the knife into Billy, killing him instantly. Covered in blood, Ray returns home and cleans himself up. Another flashback begins. Connor is shown following Victoria to a club. Feeling uncomfortable, Victoria tells him she's waiting for someone and decides to leave. However, Connor doesn't give up. After she leaves, he later sneaks into her room. Inside, he takes a pair of her underwear and smells them, revealing his disturbing and twisted intentions. The scene shifts back to Ray's home, where Officer Shelby arrives to speak with him. He shows Ray a photo of Billy and asks if he knows him. Ray tries to stay calm and denies any connection. Shelby then reveals shocking news: Billy was found murdered earlier that morning. He explains that Billy was part of Frank Noonan's gang and suggests that the group may be involved in the murder of Ray's family. The message is clear: the gang is dangerous, and Ray could still be in serious danger. Ray responds with anger and defiance. He refuses to live in fear just because he encountered dangerous people. He also says he doesn't trust the British justice system, believing it won't protect him or bring real justice. In another flashback, Victoria, scared and desperate, begs the gangsters to let her use the bathroom. Connor, who is guarding her, reluctantly agrees and takes her there. Once they are in a more private area, he cuts her free but warns her not to try anything. He then demands to see her room, and as they walk, his disturbing intentions become more obvious. He intends to force himself on her, but before he can do anything, Kane suddenly bursts in and stops him. Kane drags both Victoria and Connor back downstairs, putting an end to Connor's plans. The scene then returns to the present. Connor is now panicking. He makes several frantic phone calls trying to reach someone and grabs his car keys to leave. But as soon as he gets into his car, someone points a gun at him, leaving him frozen in shock. He realizes that the man holding the gun is Ray, the one he believed was dead. Terrified, Connor tries to defend himself, saying he was only following orders. But Ray is cold and unmoved. He tells Connor that everyone who took part is guilty. A flashback shows that Kane once ordered Connor to kill Victoria, and Connor followed the order without hesitation. Realizing now that Ray must have killed Billy and is coming after him next, Connor becomes frantic with fear. He tries to distract Ray and suddenly lunges at him. During the fight, Connor manages to cut Ray with a knife, but Ray grabs Connor's gun and shoots him. After the fight, Ray goes back home and takes care of his wound. The next morning, Officer Shelby arrives at his house. He tells Ray that Connor has been found dead and that Connor was also a member of Frank Noonan's gang. Shelby explains that all the recent murders seem to be connected and says the police are still working to understand what is happening. Shelby offers to search Ray's house for evidence, but Ray refuses and tells him he needs a search warrant first. With no other option, Shelby leaves, frustrated but still respectful of the law. A flashback begins. In it, Kane orders Ray to hand over all their phones, laptops, and computers so he can erase any evidence against the gang. Ray begs Kane to spare his family, but Kane coldly replies that it's just business. The story returns to the present, where Kane receives a letter containing a list of his dead men, a grim reminder that the violence has begun again. In a flashback, while Kane is threatening the family, Max sees a chance to escape. He runs and hides in a closet, hoping Kane won't find him. But Kane discovers him and forces him out. Max is brought back downstairs, where Kane kills him right in front of Ray and Kim. They can only watch in terror as their son is murdered. In the present, Kane meets with Frank, who immediately asks what is going on. Kane tells him that Ray is still alive and getting closer. Annoyed and worried, Frank orders Kane to track Ray down and kill him to end the threat for good. Kane begins following Ray in his car, carefully planning his next step. Meanwhile, Shelby is also watching the situation closely, keeping an eye on both of them. Another flashback begins, showing Ray confronting Kane and demanding to know why all of this happened. Kane coldly admits that he did everything simply because he could. Overwhelmed with rage and determination, Ray vows to hunt him down no matter where he goes. But before Ray can act, Kane shoots him. Back in the present, Kane enters a building, and Ray follows close behind with a gun in his hand. A gunfight breaks out as Kane hides behind a stack of boxes for cover. Outside, Officer Shelby arrives and takes a gun from his trunk. Inside, the fight between Ray and Kane becomes more intense as the sound of gunfire echoes through the building. Ray pursues Kane, who ducks behind some boxes. Eventually, the two of them end up facing each other with their guns raised, ready to shoot. Before either one can pull the trigger, Officer Shelby runs in and orders them to drop their weapons. But Ray and Kane both refuse, each determined to finish what they started. In a tense moment, Shelby steps forward and shoots Kane. Kane looks at him in shock, unable to believe what just happened. Shelby stays calm and tells him that justice has finally been served. Kane collapses, and Shelby's words bring an end to the long and dangerous cycle of revenge. After the intense confrontation, Shelby tells Ray to leave town before the police show up in the morning. He warns Ray that the authorities will come looking for him soon and that he should avoid getting caught. This time, Ray takes the advice. He gets in his car and drives away, leaving everything behind. Later, Ray goes to a dimly lit pub, hoping to find a quiet moment after everything that happened. He sits alone at the bar. A moment later, Frank walks in, looking around casually. He tells Ray the bar is closed and that he doesn't know who he is. Unbothered, Ray rises from his seat and walks toward Frank, his expression cold and focused. He reveals his gun and his identity, making it clear exactly who he is. In one final act of revenge, Ray shoots Frank, finishing his mission to avenge his family. Frank is caught completely off guard and doesn't have a chance to defend himself. Afterward, Ray leaves the pub, gets into his car, and drives out of town. The story ends with him disappearing into the night, leaving behind a path of vengeance fulfilled.